G'day tubers, how are we people, and welcome to part 2 of the, Wisconsin AENLD, we won't call it a restoration, just a clean up and get go, you know the one. A restoration is putting it back to brand new. I don't think this will ever be brand new again, but anyway, thanks to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all to these videos. I'm going to start off a bit different. I'm going to give a political opinion. No, not even a political opinion, just an opinion. Thank Christ the state or federal government here, whatever the case, got rid of Djokovic, or whatever the bloody hell he calls himself, so-called #1 tennis player, Serbian, and this is no reflection on our wonderful Serbian community. Who the bloody hell does he think he is to come in here, break all the rules when Melbourneites and New South Wales and so on have been struggling under massive lockdowns for 2 years, yet he thinks he can waltz in here like the bloody king and not have to, come under any of these rules? Well, I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. Good riddance to him as far as I'm concerned. His ego got in the way of everything and he thought he was far superior to the rest of us. Well, guess what? He's a human being just like you and me. If people don't like that, and that is too bad because that is your opinion. If you don't like my opinions or my comments, then do not watch my channel. Anyway, having said that, we're getting stuck into part 2 of the, like I said, the Wisconsin. So let's not bugger eyes around. Let's hook right in, guys. Just checking out a few parts, tubers. The camshaft here, the lobes are really good. So that's all right. But have a good close look right there. Chip in one of the teeth. And if you go around, another bit of a chip, and 2 chips. Now, if this was going back to full-time use, I'd be replacing the camshaft. I've got another one, but it's in a engine, which is, I also got in this deal, which is in that one. And there's a cam in there, there's the cam gear. Because it's not going back to full-time flat stick use, I'm going to take a chance with it. Look, if 2 of those teeth were missing, it wouldn't even turn. It's not a huge load on it. I'm going to take a chance. And look, if it does drop a couple of teeth, it'll stop straight away. And I'll just take the other cam out of the other engine. It's no big deal to change the camshaft. But yeah, look, I'll take a chance with it. It's I could probably build it up with a bit of weld, but it's a lot of mucking about. Well, guys, that's that screw that some dickhead broke. Now you might say, yeah, just replace it. I don't know where you're going to get a screw like that that's got a left-hand thread. Unless maybe you could get a genuine part, and I don't know what the chances of that'd be. Well, it screwed in and it pulled up. Being a left-hand thread, it should tend to keep itself tight. Yeah, cleaning up parts. There's that's the air cleaner intake. I've got to get an air cleaner for it. And there's a little bit of poor man's chrome. Tell you what, guys, I still say this is the best thing I've ever made. One thing I'm not, tubers, is a bloody panel beater spray painter, but won't stop us from having a go. I panel beated all the heavy dents out of it. Sanded it right back. Don't worry about the inside, I'll deal with that. Yeah, smoothed it out as best I could, and then put a bit of grey on it, and that highlights all the little crappy areas that need touching up. So I've gone ahead and put filler in them all. And tomorrow we'll rub it back a bit and start thinking about a colour. Which brings me to these bits, which I've cleaned up, and
let's just spray putty that colour. I'll rub it back, but I have no idea what colour the housings and that are going to be on this thing. I really don't. Obviously the motor's going to be black, the flywheel's done, the housings are done, a few aluminium highlights, but yeah, just don't know with this thing. I just don't know what colour to do it in. Yeah, starting work on this tank, guys. It's pretty sad. It's got these few dents here. Most of it's not too bad, there's just little dents. Bit of filler will fix, you know, most of them. But it's popped in a bit there, I don't know how to get that out. Trouble is I'm no panel beater, and I'm not going to cut it apart and separate it and all of that. I'll never get these straps back how they've got them. Much as I hate to do it, I might just have to put filler in there and try and rework it as best I can. I don't know how good it's going to look, but don't really know what else I can do with it.
Tell you what, tubers, I'm always glad of some help. And two of my old mates just popped around to give me a bit of a hand, a couple of Pacific Blacks.
What do you boys want?
A nice short break for a patriotic message, my friends. It is Australia Day, January the 26th. It is stinking hot in Melbourne, about 34 or 35, and I'm loving every little bit of it. The beauty of Australia is that if you do not love it, please feel absolutely free to leave at any time. No, we're not racist. We are patriotic. We are proud of this country, and everyone is welcome. All we ever ask is that you become Australian. Anyway, back to the video, people.
Well, new carby gaskets, guys. Yeah, and a few new washers for the, you know, collapsible aluminium washers. Looks like one goes on the bottom of that needle and seat. I didn't get a new needle and seat. That kit's a lot more expensive. I'll go with the one I've got. Well, that's the carby fully assembled, guys. New gasket in there, new seals and shit on the float. Choke and all that's working, everything's working. Put the manifold on. Yeah, good as I can make it. And if it's a bit noisy in here, that's because the fan's on and the radio's flat out and it's about 200 bloody degrees. But that's all right. We'll start a bit of reassembly, guys. Just remember that little shim goes down below the spring. But interestingly enough, remember on disassembly I said the top retaining collar, or whatever you want to call it, on the exhaust was different. Well, there's a reason for that. It's actually a bearing, or it's some sort of, I don't know, it spins anyway. I would suggest obviously it's helped to help assist valve rotation. I can't think of why else, but definite difference in the intake, or this is the exhaust, but definite difference between the two. So just watch that. Valves are in, guys. You've seen me and others do it 100 times. There's no big secrets to it. Yeah, just use the compressor to pull the spring down with any washers and shims and anything like that. Push the valve right through, put your retaining clips in, bit of grease to hold them in place if they're being difficult, and let the compressor off and bang, they're in place. I usually like to just snap the valve, you know, just with a screwdriver in there, just snap it a bit so it springs back, just to make sure that everything's seated properly. Camshaft's in, guys. Just remember your oil pump lifter. Yeah, and your little spacer thing for the... Oh, I've got my hand in the way. Your little spacer thing down there for the governor. Put your lobes on the opposite side of the valve as they are, and we can do our clearance. 8 thou on the intake and 16 thou on the exhaust, guys. Bit hard to see, guys, but in there on the cam and crank of the timing marks, make sure you line them up. Turned up a couple of new plugs for the end of the camshaft shaft that it runs on. Just made them out of aluminium and slightly larger than the hole, and tapped them in. They tapped in nice, and that should seal up, same as the other side, and yeah, solves that problem. Just getting the piston ready for reassembly, guys, or reinstallation. On the top there, you can probably just make it out 0.010. That's telling me that she's 10 thou oversized, so it might have had a bore at some stage. 4 piston rings, just stagger your gaps. 90 degrees apart in this case, because there's 4 of them. So 4 into 360 is 90, or whatever the maths is. So stagger your rings, heaps of oil when you put your ring compressor on, and heaps of oil in the cylinder. So yeah, let's bung him in. We've got an oil pump in this one, guys, so clean him up nice. The little piston can go 2 ways, but that way actually the push rod comes up and goes into that end. I've checked that in the manual, and what we did was we put it in water. There's your intake there, and we worked it manually in water, and it squirted oil out those little holes. There's 3 of them. Make sure they're all clear, guys. Well, that's the internals of the engine in, guys. Oil pumps in and working. We timed our cam. Pistons in, conrod's tight. Governor's in, down there somewhere. I reckon we're just about ready to put the pan back on. This is going to get pretty easy, this one. Sumps on, guys. No big deal. I didn't use any sealer. If you've got 2 clean flat surfaces, a gasket's plenty. You don't need to put heaps of bloody Celastic or whatever, you know, silicone on it. That'll just ooze out the side and look like shit. Unless, of course, it's something really high pressure that the manufacturer requires it, but this isn't. It's only got crankcase pressure, and that's not super duper high. It does have breathers and that sort of stuff on it, and positive ventilation. Just do them up evenly and in a round pattern. Don't just put one in and do it down tight. You'll make things a lot of problems for yourself. Starting to look like an engine again, guys. I know that because we're running out of parts on the bench. Carbs back on, guys. Yeah, haven't set the governor yet. I'm not 100% sure what to do with that. That's revs, that's stop, I think, from memory. Yeah, we'll see. We'll read the good book and see what it says. Another thing I've learnt about governors, guys, they work much better when you put them on the right way. Some dickhead had this on backwards. Well, I reinstalled the magneto according to the book. That's... I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. There's a little mark on the tooth, and when you can see that in that view hole, that's supposed to be timed when you're on top dead centre. Also put a new lead on it, new plug, new cap. I think I have to take this back off to put the cowlings back on, but yeah, she's just about ready to rock and roll. Just putting the final stages on here, guys. Just putting this blower housing on. Yeah, you have to put that on before the flywheel, because Wisconsin's put 2 bloody bolts down here that you'll never get to with the flywheel on. Well, we're just about ready to rock and roll here, guys. She's all back together except for the fuel line. I'm just waiting on, I've got the tap. I'm just waiting on some fittings, and I can plumb in the fuel line. Hopefully we won't have any dramas where that's all buggered up. Other than that, she's all back together. I haven't got an air cleaner. I was just going to get one of those Chinese bloody things, you know, the round bloody things, whatever they are. Can't get them because of the virus. No one's got anything. And half the shops are bloody, you know, understaffed and that. So it didn't come up too bad. I'm not wrapped with the colour. That's a bit of a story in itself. And the paint's fair. I'm no painter. I wish I was. But anyway, we'll get there. She's got spark. She's got oil. Just got to fuel it up and see if she goes. Well, tubers, we hooked up the bloody fuel system. I've got to get the proper bit of line. I don't like that. Yeah, and tried to do a bit of a start. And as you can see, I'm draining the oil back out of it again. And what we got was backfiring through the carby. And sometimes it even fired extremely advanced, like on the upstroke, on the compression stroke, but it fired and pulled the bloody cord straight back and nearly busted me wrist, which makes me think that there is an issue with the timing. Now, I've checked the magneto time and I've double checked it and it seems right. But what I'm thinking back to is, remember when we pulled this apart, that camshaft had a couple of broken teeth. Now, what I'm thinking is if somehow that got loaded up and the gear has shifted on the shaft a little bit and my timing has gone, because it's actually trying to, in effect, run backwards, which tells me it's advanced to the shithouse. Yet everything, all the timing marks on the magneto and everything line up. And I'm almost certain I lined up the dots on the crank and camshaft. So I'm thinking that gear might have shifted. But anyway, she's got to come back down. Yeah. And I also buggered up the bloody paintwork. When I was putting some fuel in it, the paint obviously wasn't dry enough and I dripped a bit, and look what I've done. So it's she's got to be touched up. So it looks like she's got to come down again. Just a quick side note to that, tubers. Fortunately, I have a second engine, and this one's got the cam in it. Now, I've rotated this, and I can't see any chips or anything on that camshaft gear in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to tear this old one down and take the two cams and compare them, and that should show me if they're out of time. Now, that's, of course, if this one is correct. There's no way of, well, I suppose there's a way of knowing how to check it. I don't know exactly what it is, I can guess. But yeah, there's another cam in there, so we're gonna pull that to bits, because this motor was incomplete anyway. She's only a spares engine. We may be lucky here, but I've done all that work. I'm not going to abandon it just yet.
Yeah, well, guys, like I said, yeah, well, I'm going to call this part 2. Actually, there'll be a third part to this, because I'm going to tear it down again, or at least pull the pan off and try and diagnose it from there. I'm convinced the timing's not right. As I say, it nearly broke my bloody wrist when it fired, because in effect it was trying to run backwards. So it promptly spun the flywheel the wrong way and pulled me back into it rather than the cord pulling out. But anyway, yeah, we're going to keep pressing on, guys. As I say, I'm not going to abandon this. It'll go. It just needs a little bit more persistence. In the meantime, if anyone's got any ideas, I'm all ears. But if not, I shall talk to you guys in part 3. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else who contributes anything at all. Stay clear of the China virus, guys, and have fun.